Hey, live on Pat Soundbites Unplugged podcast. Keeping new music alive is what I do. If you follow me, you know the deal, because that's what I love to do, whether it's on the radio, the video, and I love promoting new music because I've done the hits all my life. And I got this cat in the house. I always screw this up, Logan. It's always like this way. He's with this band called All the Pretty Things from Wilmington, North Carolina. He's the lead vocalist, Mr. Logan Tabor. How are you, Logan?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Pat. This is awesome.
Thanks for your time. A lot of exciting news with your band, Logan. Besides this wonderful single, I Want You Back, I want to say released at midnight last night, which is really cool from what I got to hear. And you got a new bass player, so we got a lot to cover in a short period of time. But thanks for your time, Logan. I got to talk to Worth when Teenage Lies came out, and let me tell you, I got excellent feedback on that. Played the crap out of that song, and I love your band. I love your sound. So a lot to cover. I always start off, Logan, is how did you find your love for music? What I mean, your fondest memories in the house, mom and dad musicians, brothers, sisters, seeing somebody in concert. What was the drive that says, I kind of like that?
Yeah, great question. I did grow up in a very musical family. So my dad was in sort of like a top 40s like touring cover act when he was in his 20s, and him and my mom kind of went around the country with his band. She was like the road manager kind of deal, and they went around the country, and man, he was working I think 50 weeks, 6 days a week, 50 weeks out of the year. And so he always had great stories about that. And then, when they decided to come off the road and start having a family, they were the musical ministers at the church that was right behind the house that I grew up in.
Nice.
So I grew up in church doing all that, running sound, playing drums, hearing them conduct people, choirs and bands. And then when I was like 11, I just, started getting into more rock and roll stuff. We got our first drum set in the house. I was allowed to move on from my piano lessons.
I got my first drum set. Now keep it quiet. Don't get too loud and crazy, right?
Oh no, my dad built us a custom like isolation drum cage for it because he didn't want to hear it, but he also wanted us to be able to cut loose, So they were really accommodating in that way, and encouraging. And then I just started listening to more rock and roll and decided I wanted to, learn Blink-182 songs and learn Incubus songs. And then I started writing my own stuff, and it just kind of couldn't stop, dude.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it was in your blood the minute you were come onto this wonderful earth. Like, oh, what is this? Forget about football and baseball and every other thing. I'm all wound up with this stuff. That's cool. Who was the first concert you got to see live?
Actually, man, I didn't know we were going to go here, but it was an Incubus concert.
Nice. I love that shirt. Love that band. Very cool.
Yeah, it was the Morning View tour. My dad, when I was in 7th grade, my dad took my brother and I to see Incubus in Raleigh, man, and that tour was just ridiculous, dude. They were really on it, and that really changed everything for me. That was the way.
Cool. Did you so obviously did you play a band did you play in school, I guess I should say, chorus, or play in a band in school, and then it evolved into forming your own band, getting into high school and moving on?
Yeah. I mean, there was obviously band class, and then there was even in middle school, we got our principal to let us play in our little, like, at the time we were doing like Green Day covers and Blink-182 covers. It was like a little 3-piece. We were in like 7th and 8th grade. We got our principal to let us play at this event called Beach Day, which was really just like a kind of a screw off day, for all the kids. It was like activities outside and, pizza party kind of situation. We got to jam for like a good 45 minutes while everybody was at lunch. And then, kept that going as I was transitioning into high school, and sort of started in early high school, moving over to like the more scene rock, like emo stuff. We had our band called The Mistress. Those were the days, man. Man, that was some cool stuff. And I kept it going through high school, and then, I skipped the college thing because there at the end of high school, me and my buddies were like, man, this is what we want to do. Let's just go straight into the workforce. And that way, every night we can just kind of get into the practice space, practice as late as we want, get things done, play shows, travel. Kept it going, and it evolved sort of into a more elevated version of like those high school mistress emo days. And then it kind of moved into, I went through my, as we all do, my massive Radiohead phase, my early 20s. And so we kind of moved over to doing like, trippy indie stuff. And then, after a number of years of doing, all kinds of different things, Worth, the guitarist and producer for this band, showed me this stuff one day when I was in his studio recording like bass for another project. And I was like, man, I have got to get back into doing heavier music, man. This is like my roots. And so he showed me that stuff, and I was like, dude, let me do the vocals on this. And we just kind of went. It was great. It was a good fit.
I had a great chat with Worth promoting Teenage Lies, which I love and been playing a lot after it came out. And what a cool guy, man. A lot of where did you find your confidence in singing? One thing is to learn the drums and play guitar. Another thing is that public speaking and getting in front of people and grabbing a mic. And
I don't know, man, because I've always been like a pretty big introvert. Oh, my light just went out, didn't it? What's wrong with you? Oh, well, that thing's done.
Well, we still can see it, just a little bit dark.
Can you see me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I was always like literally outside of music. I'm kind of an introvert, like I don't make a big fuss in public, and I'm relatively quiet and reserved, but something about, I don't know, man, I just always felt charged to write the lyrics. I felt like I had something to say. I don't know if I can fine tune it much more than that. It was like there was just something in me that was like, man, how these songs are sort of supposed to go, and you have a thing you want to say, so just figure it out, And I was always kind of, honestly, like the least gifted singer out of all my family members, and I still am. Like everybody in my family is kind of a badass when it comes to that. And I don't know, man. I've been singing for over 20 years now, and my voice has gone through like a lot of different phases, and I've used it in different ways for different projects. Like obviously the indie project, that was more soft stuff, a lot of falsetto and breathy things. Over the last couple of years, over the last 5 years probably, I don't know. I figured out this new thing that I'm doing with my voice now. This all the pretty things thing. It was like I found a new chamber, a new thing to access, and it really works to my advantage. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of fell into it, man, and I couldn't stop doing it.
Excellent. No, it's pretty interesting when you ask, like, how did you? But and it's funny. Most of the folks that I have interviewed are more introvert, quiet, back. I've had a few that go, I grabbed the microphone when I was 4, singing in front of the family, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that I do, and obviously in church and stuff like that. That I knew that this was going to be the path that I would take. All the pretty things. I mean, I know you were in a few bands prior to this, and obviously meeting Worth and probably Tristan and Jeremy and getting together going, man, we got something going on here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about I Want You Back. Is that a song that all of you collaborated on when it came to songwriting? How did that all come about?
As far as like I guess the core of the songwriting portion, this is actually the only song on the album that I personally kind of conceptualized from start to finish. It was just like I just kind of had this idea in my head. Like I had some lyrics I had written a while back. Actually, I'll give you the whole thing. I kind of write lyrics in like snippets as they come to my head. Like I could just be at the grocery store right now and something catchy will pop into my head. And so for this song, literally the entire song is based off the last line of the second verse, which is, I was too young and too dumb for too long, but now I'm on track. And I was like, that's
wow, I like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's catchy. And then I literally just wrote the whole song around that because I knew it needed to be something. And I had the idea for the guitars in my head, and Worth and I sat in the studio one day and I kind of demoed it out, and it just came together really quickly. And then, after that, the other guys got involved, and put their 2 cents in. and added some textures. Worth kind of reworked some of my guitar playing because he's much better at that than I am. And yeah, we just kind of put it together. But that was the only one where I kind of came up with the initial idea for it. All the other songs on the album is, you know, either Tristan came up with like the whole basis for the entire guitar foundation, or Worth did, or whatever, you know. But this one's kind of unique in that regard.
You know, I'm a lyric guy, Logan, so I like to close my eyes and just crank it up and try to interpret what you're trying to get across. And when you hear "I Want You Back," and you know the deal, it's usually a broken relationship or something like that. And how you just said where this song, the concept is really a great thing. You know, it's like I always say, I don't think we live in the present enough. You know, when things happen, we're all excited, and you know, 10 years from now, I look back and I go, man, I hung out with Billy Gibbons and we became really super friends. And I'm like, I missed that. You know, COVID came and I go to the shows and I didn't want to be that guy to go see ZZ Top and give Billy COVID if I had her or anything. So, and that's another story. I mean, but yeah, you know, it's like, I always, you know, tell my kids, I always, you know, think back of high school. Man, if I could do things different, you know, I would want that back. I would love to have that back. So, good for you. I like that idea. It's pretty cool.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. It turned out. We're really happy with this track. So,
is songwriting therapeutic for you, Logan? To be able to express musically things that, like you said, whether it's at the grocery store, little things that you have experienced that you're able to express musically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important for me. And, you know, before we started the last leg of this record, we had a lot of the stuff already recorded. But before we started like writing and tracking vocals, I actually moved into Worth's house, which is where I am now, where the studio is back here. And so he and I had a lot of time to sort of talk about exactly that. You know, we kind of kept going back to the idea that like we really don't know what we would be doing or what our mental health would look like if we didn't have this outlet. And for me, a lot of the lyrics that are on this forthcoming album, honestly, got me through the whole thing. I'm glad I was able to get all that stuff off of my chest and formulate it in a way that hopefully others can relate to and benefit from, you know. But yeah, it's always been therapeutic and sometimes deeply, you know, torturous, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Just with, you know, struggling with getting the full idea across and you know, meeting deadlines and that sort of thing. It can be a bit of a burden, but at the same time, I'd rather have it than not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's no better feeling. I'm not a musician, but to get on stage and have and listen to folks sing your lyrics back, and you know, and then getting the comments of how some of the songs have made a difference in people's lives, like they get it, like, man, wow, that was me, you know, 10 years ago or something. So yeah, no, that's awesome. Talk to me about those great bandmates of yours, Tristan, I'm probably saying his name wrong, and Jeremy, and obviously Mr. Worth Weaver, and then we'll get into Will joining the band.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want to know? They're a bunch of jabronis, and
well, I don't think Worth put it that way, but that's I like the diversity. I think, you know, if I read correctly, if I remember, Tristan comes from more of a South African type of background or family background. You know, this band has a really cool diversity of the folks that are in it. If I think about my notes when I chatted with Worth, am I correct with that?
Yeah. I mean, especially, you know, with all of our backstories, and I don't even honestly know everybody's backstory. There's just a lot to dig into with everybody. Yeah, Tristan, I think I don't want to. He's like Scottish and South African. I think he spent a lot of his youth in South Africa. And yeah, he's a super rad dude. You know, I mean, this whole project was his brainchild in the first place. I think he kind of came to Worth with the idea for this band in the first place, and they kind of like honed in on that, and demoed out a few songs that we ended up actually using on the record, one of which is Teenage Lines. That was used to just be an instrumental thing for a number of years while they were like searching for a vocalist and that sort of thing. But it stayed how it was, and it's on the record. And then Worth, I've known Worth for a really long time through the music scene here in Wilmington, North Carolina. We were never in the same band until now, but we would always be on the same bills as each other, you know. So he and I have been running into each other for a while, and eventually we started working at the same place. And then this happened, you know, and I've come to his studio for various things over the years, and we just kind of knew about each other, and finally decided to work together, and it's been a really great decision. As far as Jeremy's a mystery to me. You know, he's an excellent fella. He's one of my favorite people, but you know, he's just kind of like a really soft-spoken dude, and he's like the sweetest guy in the world, and he's like extremely smart and a total badass on a drum set. And he just kind of gets it, you know, like the vibe bringing. So obviously, it was Tristan, Worth, and I for a while there, and then we introduced Jeremy, and the vibe bringing Jeremy in was just like so copacetic, man. It was. He just got it, you know, the flow in the studio, the flow like with energy between personalities and stuff. Man, it was one of those reminders that we're making the right moves.
Yeah, you can just like look at each other. You walk out, get in your car, and you go, "Man, I feel the chemistry here. The personalities click. We're a family. We get along. We, you know, support each other. We listen to each other. You know, we you know, without like, no, we got to do it this way, got to do it that way. You know, yeah, your family might be a few things here or there. Hey, there's a light back.
My light's back. Ha!
Now I remember Worth's brother James, who unfortunately passed away, was the bass player or was a bass player originally. Do I have that right?
Yeah, the intention was for James, Worth's brother, to be the bassist, and he actually did demo out a couple ideas before he passed. One of which we kind of still had a recording of, and we actually I reproduced it when I was tracking bass for all these songs, you know. So we're trying to, you know, in the ways that we can keep him with us through this, you know. But dude, James was a total badass. I'm looking at a picture of him right now, actually. Yeah, the dude was just like the nicest guy on the planet and a badass bassist, man. I'd had the opportunity to jam with him, just like straight up jam. Like me and my buddies were all at our practice space smoking weed and just kind of like improvising. And James, we called in James one day because we just felt like jamming with a bassist, and he came in and sat in, and we just had a blast for like 2 hours just improvising together. It was, man, it's a super talented dude. Yeah.
Yeah, in today's world, you know, if you have a track or two or have a recording of them, you could always throw it on like a backup to the song. So, you know, his musically, spiritually lives on. Talk to me about Will. Another exciting news. You got a seasoned musician from down your way joining the band. How's he fit in? It's got to be you know, a breath of fresh air when somebody else comes in with ideas and you know, kind of fits in again with the chemistry of the band.
Yeah, I mean, Will's background was just like absolutely perfect for what we were going for. You know, in and of its own, he like his resume essentially kind of falls in line with the rest of us and like the sound of the band that we're going for with all the pretty things, and the work ethic, I think, as well, you know. And essentially, I think so. Tristan and Jeremy know Will. I hadn't met Will prior, and like I said, that's kind of how it was with Jeremy too. Tristan and Worth knew Jeremy, but so, you know, Tristan was able to vouch for. Like, Tristan's been on the road with this guy in various bands or in various touring situations plenty of times. He's known him for years, and so it was immediately like, yeah, if this is the guy, let's do it. Let's sign him up. And you know, at this point, most of our interactions have just been, you know, Zoom calls, phone calls, texts, and we're essentially like, so we didn't have Will when we recorded this album, so I ended up tracking all the bass stuff, and so we're in the phase where we're all like working together to get Will the resources he needs to kind of learn all this stuff and put his own Willisms on it.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of working together in that capacity, as well as, you know, from a marketing standpoint. And it's going great, dude. I mean, he's a rad guy. You know, he's already done hilarious things that just prove to us all that we have once again made the right decision here, and that personality wise, the vibe is there, and I know the musicality is there, and yeah, it's just no sweat, man. It's all good feelings over here.
So what's the next step, Logan? When's the album come out? What's the next? What's the goals of the band to when you release the album? Is there tours in mind? Get you out of North Carolina, try to expand upon so you get more exposure.
Yeah, I think so. The goal is, and they might get pissed at me for, you know, telling stories out of school here, but
Oh, don't get in trouble.
yeah. Oh, well, I'm far enough away from them geographically enough at the moment. I'm not worried about it. That, we're trying to have the album out by the end of the year. So basically, all the tracking's done, most of the mixing's done. You still got to get most of it mastered, but that's not like a huge hurdle or anything. It's more at this point just logistics and marketing and trying to shop it around as best we can, like doing our due diligence before we just release it. Um, and then, yeah, the goal after that is to hopefully maybe play some showcases and definitely jump on some tours and just try to keep the momentum going, build a fan base, and just connect with all our friends from all these bands over the years and play some shows together. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's hard to like get mega rich off playing music these days, and
Oh,
we just always remember and remind ourselves and remind each other that we're doing this because we love doing it, and we're not expecting, you know, our bank accounts to just explode overnight one night. It's not that. It's we really believe in this music, and we're gonna do whatever we have to do to take it on the road and showcase it for people, and hopefully get the energy back from them that we've been trying to give them. You know, we poured a lot into the record. It's very important to all of us, and we can't just let it sit there. We're not going to let it just sit on Spotify. We're gonna go take it on the road and show people what we're all about.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's certainly it's all about the love, especially today. I don't want to bash Spotify. I read all these nightmares, and I get to interview wonderful artists like yourself and
Mm-hmm.
some known that have been out there, A-listers that still can't figure it. Like, you know, we sold 300 million records or 300 million downstreams, and I get a check for $30.
Yep.
I don't buy that. But everybody says the same thing as you. I do it for the love of it, and if hopefully more people will love what we do. What's the music scene like in? I've been in Wilmington. Obviously, I have friends down by Topsail Beach and been back and
All
forth
right.
up 17 all the way down to Myrtle Beach and back a bunch of times. What's the music scene like for you guys? Are you known there, and the people are really supportive and are looking forward to more of music from all the pretty things?
Yeah, it has been a really supportive community. So like Worth and I have lived here pretty much all our lives. Um, and Wilmington's got this funny thing where it's growing a lot, and so sometimes it feels like a big city, but it really is still a small town, you know, and like all the musicians know all the musicians, and everybody goes to everybody's shows, and everybody streams everybody's music and reposts their stuff. So it's dude, it's always been a supportive community like that. As far as bands like us, the scene here has changed a lot over the years. It's more so back like when I was in high school and like early college age kind of, we had a number of venues that like heavily catered to hardcore and emo and you know, just the heavier music scene and original music. And they would have some great bills come through. I got to see a lot of killer shows. A lot of those venues, pretty much all those venues, have since closed, except Reggie's, which is Reggie's is still going strong, man.
Yeah,
The final
Reggie's.
stronghold. We love those guys. And but yeah, so that kind of really changed the scene a lot. And then with all this growth and development, especially a lot of it being geared towards tourism, the music scene kind of shifted more towards folk songwriter kind of stuff, which is great. It's just different than what it used to be. This is more of a a chronology than me actually casting judgment or anything. But
right.
it's like it's just changed. It's more singer-songwriter, and it's a lot of it is there are a few really good venues like Waterline that still push original music, but a lot of it is like restaurants. So it'll be like an acoustic duo or just an acoustic guy with a guitar. And there's a lot of really great acts like that, but it's just a much different vibe than back in the day when you would go down to Front Street and there would be 150 kids with eyeliner on, like waiting to get into this building to all punch each other in the face as soon as the music, you know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe, but as far as the community, like regardless of the genre, like everybody that we know here has been extremely receptive and supportive, and it seems like everybody's really excited to hear what's going on next, and we're excited for what's going on next with them too.
Are you able to get any radio air on some of the stations down there? And the first time you maybe heard Teenage Lies, or every now and then, or?
Yeah, there's a couple stations that we can push to, and that'll pick us up and give us a little bit of rotation, like locally and regionally. And then there's also some stations scattered about the United States that we've been able to get into contact with too. And I think this song will be even more successful in that regard because it's just more generally radio friendly, I guess.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I've had excellent feedback with Teenage Lies, and I know I'm going to get great feedback with I Want You Back, which is cool. I just found my niche after playing the hits all the time. It's like I want to do something different because that's what you guys do. You write, you create. I don't care if you're you guys are all the way to Billy. They create new music. That's how I got to meet Billy. I was playing his solo stuff. And I went to meet him, and he's like, takes the sunglasses off. You doing what? I said, I play your solo music because I love it. And he couldn't thank me enough. And it opened the door for me. I mean, if you look at any of my socials, you see me with every band that I grew up with, from Alice Cooper to hanging out with Alice Cooper and everybody, Joe Walsh, you name it. I pinch myself every day, and I'm a little guy. I'm a little independent guy. I'm a little squid in a big pond, but I don't care. I love what I do, and it's not about money or anything. I have a passion for it. So, if you succeed, I succeed because I want people to go out and buy. And obviously, I Want You Back is available now on all the streaming platforms. I thought I saw a clip of a video. Is there a full video soon to be released to go with the single?
Oh no! So that was all our promo material.
Oh, okay.
And we are in talks of doing a full-on music video, which will be. So far, the concept is, sort of half performance, half storyline, like half narrative.
Yep.
And we're working out there's a lot of logistics behind that one, but we're trying to sort it out because we really want to put out a good product. But we're definitely talking about it, and if it does get to happen, it's going to be well worth the wait. I can promise you that.
Yeah, no, and that's the trend anymore, Logan. It's great to put out a whole new album, but the trend I see from doing this every day is a single, then the video, or the same time, and then wait for it to slow down a bit, and then throw another one out there to keep everybody's momentum. To throw out an album of 12 brand new tracks is great, but it kind of gets lost. You know what I'm saying? Compared to people like, oh wow, Teenage Lies. Where's the next one? I'm like biting them. I'm like, well, okay, give me another one, man. Let's keep it going. Nice. So then when you do tour, people know, by the third song when you go, hey, we have another new song coming out, then I've run into take a leak and grabbing a beer. They know. And then I went through that with COVID. I'm going, no, put it out. People are begging. They're home. They're not going to live shows. This is the perfect opportunity. But I know it was kind of unorthodox because bands are so used to putting out an album and touring it. And now we have no tours. So now what are we doing? I'm like, no, put it out. Because I know I'm not the only guy playing it. So no, it's all good, Logan. I think it's great. And I can't wait in fact, I really can't wait to hear more. And I'm glad that you took the time out today to talk to us. If you weren't in this wonderful band, Logan, where would you be?
Oh, a gutter somewhere, I'd imagine.
You and I would be selling ice pops at Topsail Beach.
Yeah, dude, I'm down. Yeah, if it ever comes to that, if you're looking for a career change, hit me up. We'll open an ice pop stand, dude.
That's
I'm
what
in.
I said. It, you know, New York is driving me crazy with taxes. I'm sure you get an influx of a
Oh, I'm
lot of
sure.
folks
Yeah.
moving down to your wonderful area, Bo. Logan, thank you so much for your time. Everybody can go to all. Just talk about your social platforms, Logan. I know you're on Instagram, and I know you're on. You have a website.
Yeah. Yeah, we can always use a bump on our socials. So please go follow us. Instagram and Facebook are at All the Pretty Things Official, and our TikTok is at All the Pretty Things Band.
And I know you have a YouTube channel. Definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.
Please do.
It's all about the algorithms now. I mean, who would ever think? You know, it's great that it's great that I can play the track, but the video can go viral tomorrow. And before you know, you'll be opening up for Incubus or the Foo Fighters or somebody, which would be awesome. Logan, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I have.
Absolutely, Pat. Thank you.
All the Pretty Things, go check it out. I want you back. Logan Tabor. It doesn't get any better than this. Follow those guys and follow me on Pat Soundbites Unplugged Podcast.
I want you back. If you're picking up the pieces, I'll be picking up this life.